Are the Broncos still the best team in the AFC West?
Yes. What's the next topic? Well, I was the one who came up with this question last night because the Chargers have just now signed Stevie Johnson.
Right.
Late of the Buffalo Bills. He was the guy that
49ers.
Fool of himself a couple of years ago when he went in the end zone and dropped the ball and stuff like that. And so now they have they've added a number of pieces to the part, including Orlando Franklin.
Yeah.
And the question would be Phillip Rivers, who had a back injury that was much. I'm sorry, had tuna. Yes. Oh, that was my fault. I'm sorry. But people were wondering about how Phillip Rivers fell apart in the second half of the season. Well, he, like Peyton Manning, was injured for most of that time.
Yeah.
He had a bad back. And I saw a story today that this is his final year of his contract, whether or not he's going to stay in San Diego or possibly retire. And so that's kind of interesting.
Well, he says he doesn't want to move to L.A. if the team moves to L.A., so I wouldn't be surprised if he did say sayonara.
Well, you could live in San Diego. I mean, Jimmy drives from Cheyenne. How tough is it to drive up the Coast Highway? You've been on that highway.
Of course.
Obviously, the Eagles have. Hotel
Yeah.
California.
It's about 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2.5 hours, San Diego to L.A.
So it's 4 hours a day you spend in the car. Jimmy does that every day.
Yeah, but if you have a bad back, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So San Diego's done okay in the offseason. Not great.
Would you?
But they've done
make them
okay.
the favorite?
No, absolutely not. It's still the Broncos for me. Kansas City still has that guy at quarterback, and they don't know if Eric Berry is coming back from the lymphoma. I think they've got Kansas City has a nice roster, but they're missing the key ingredient, and that's a really good quarterback. And Oakland, I think is going to be improved, but they're still not in the class of Kansas City, San Diego, or the Broncos. Look, here's the way I look at it.
All right.
The Broncos still have the best quarterback in the AFC West, and we know how much that counts for, okay? I still think they've got the best receivers. They've got the best secondary, especially if Eric Berry doesn't go back to Kansas City. I think they've got the best linebackers. I think they've got the best pass rush, despite the fact that Kansas City has Justin Houston. Broncos still have Ware and Miller and whoever else, Malik Jackson, who gives them a decent pass rush, and Derek Wolfe. So I think when you go up and down the rosters,
Has Derek Wolfe ever had a sack?
well, he had 6.5 sacks, I think, his first year, 5.5 or 6.5.
Okay.
Last year,
I have
not
a
so
better
many.
question for you then.
Yeah.
The Broncos have won, 18 straight
Against their division.
against the division. What would you think, looking right now?
Not 18 straight. They lost to San Diego on a Thursday night 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, it was 17 or 18. It was, John Fox set the record for
Yeah.
which he had tied
Yeah.
previously.
But they beat them here and they beat them there.
Yeah, well, they beat.
Yeah, consistently.
They were 6-0 last year, 6-0 the year before. They won the last 3 on the road. It was about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Because Tebow came in and they didn't win any games at home, but then they lost to Kansas City. So under Peyton Manning, I think they're like 16-2, something like that. I would ask you this. What do you think their record's going to be against the division?
This
Looking
year?
at it today. This may be.
I think a safe bet would be 7-1.
I would say, well, that's not. That can't be the case. They played 6 games.
Oh, I'm sorry. 5-1. 5-1. Yeah.
4-2, I think, would be a good record against. I think they have a chance. It's tough to win all the time in San Diego, and you know as well as I do that they're going to have to play Kansas City in December. They always do in Kansas City. It's like the NFL puts that game in first. Oh, let's send Denver to Kansas City December 12th when it's the coldest. I think it's really tough to win in Kansas City. I think it's tough to win in San Diego. I think they could win 2 from Oakland and win all the games at home, so that would be 4-2. Be my guess. You say 5-1, so
Yeah.
they're close. Anything below 4-2, I think, would be not very good for them in regard to trying to get a good playoff position, which you think is so important. I think it will almost be better for the Broncos if they have to play that first weekend. So,
But you still think they're the best team in the division?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Chargers are making inroads. I think Kansas City is still about where it was, even though they've added players, because they've lost more players than anybody in the division the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think the Raiders are going to be improved. I think the Raiders could win 6 games, 6, 7 games under Jack Del Rio.
You know what? I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be close to a 500 team.
But
but
none of those wins are going to come against the Broncos.
the San Diego Chargers, I think, could win 10 or 11 games, and I would think the Chiefs could win 8 or 9. That would be my guess today. But there's still more work to be done by all those teams. And injury situations will make a lot of difference, but if you're just kind of having fun. All right.
All right. First segment brought to you by the Harmony Foundation. Harmony is Colorado's premier treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. It's located just outside of Estes Park on a private 45-acre mountain campus. It is insurance friendly, so visit harmonyfoundationinc.com to learn more.